Greetings. I am Dr. Noni Davis, and I am coming to you from St. C Academy. St. C Academy is located here in North Carolina, and we have been around for 30 years as an African centered institution, catering to the needs of African American children and children of African descent, and even those who are from the Caribbean. Um, This is a legacy school. I co-founded the school with my parents, and I am now the chief administrator. And thankfully, I have my daughter, my granddaughter, and several young ladies who are helping me to pass this legacy on to the next generation. Anyway, so I've been continuing this uh, presentation of the Africa Day uh, celebration we had back in August, no, October 31st. And this focus today is on the artists. And so this category, um, I felt like artists were important because artists are like have the heartbeat of the culture. They express it be political expression, religious expression, spiritual, I guess that's the same thing, and just the beauty of the culture. And so in Africa, our ancestors left these monumental things. You have these pyramids that were made of limestone. You have the uh, marble statues of rulers, African rulers in ancient Egypt. You've got all this agriculture and architecture that we've talked about. Um, but today I want to focus on artists, and the artists cover the spectrum of um, Africans, African Americans, Africans in the Caribbean, and even those who are also part of Europe. Um, and so my students were led, through this age. My oldest student, I think, is 15 this year. So I had my 15 and 14-year-olds open up each topic. And so this particular topic was opened by a 14-year-old girl. And she had to focus on uh, she introduced the Benin and the blacksmiths of Africa. So we began with blacksmiths, and our ancestors were the first people to smelt iron, and they created furnaces that could achieve temperatures of 2,372 degrees to 2,472 degrees Fahrenheit. Our ancestors began smelting iron as early as 800 BCE with the knot culture. And so I'm going to show some pictures here because it's fascinating. But before we proceed, I wanted to show Ogun, and I think I've shown pictures of Ogun before. So Ogun is the Orisha of iron, and he is associated with technology and the advancement of civilization. He symbolizes iron, war, metalwork, and creativity and destruction. And so anyone who works with metals and advancement of technology, blacksmiths, warriors, and surgeons, and those who are creative are with specifically metalworks is usually associated with Oshun. And so I wanted to show some of the. Okay, wait a minute. Let me see. How can I do it? Wait. I'm going to go back to artist. And the artist. So this was some of the metalwork that they had. These are knives. These are Ogun metalwork that was found in Benin. And this is wow, look at that hatchet with the intricate details on. I mean, this was African metalwork. These are just a few samples. But Africans carried these skills with them during the Ma'afa and throughout the South, and applied these skills to ironsmithing or blacksmithing. And so we know that wherever you saw blacksmithing, even here at Stagville in the plantation here, the blacksmiths were all Black people, and they had their own forging space down away from the plantation. on the edge of the plantation, away from the housing. And so, uh, even as early, I mean, as late as the 1800s, these people working independently, they were asked to do whatever they needed to do, and horseshoes, metalwork for the doors, for the fences, all of that kind of stuff, and they were pretty independent, like I said. So our African ancestors in Nigeria and Benin were experts in creating metalwork too, and the bronzes of Benin are were exceptional. So the history of the bronzes is really of Benin is really crazy because their work was like unbelievable work, unbelievable details. And it's said that when the Portuguese first came in contact with this empire, the great the great city of Benin, they were amazed. They were like, "Oh my God!" These people, the work, the carpentry, the craftsmanship, in every regard, was impeccable. And so, as I said before, the Great Benin City was huge. It's like it they said the walls were from the East Coast to the West Coast and back to the East Coast. That's how large this compound was, or this complex was. And it is 150 million hours, I think they said it took to actually construct this. Now, mind you, it was from 800 to 1400s is the period of time that they've attributed to the building of this of the Great Benin Wall. But I wanted to show, because I felt like, okay, I need to have a bronze, because I want to pass this on to my children, my grandchildren, and my great grandchildren. So I purchased a couple, and so just want to show an example of what a Benin bronze is. This thing is so heavy, but I want you to just see the eyes, the lips, the intricate details around the crown here, the mouth, the neck, and then you have all of these other uh, figures around the bottom. You see how decorative it is. It is so heavy. There's a leopard, and on the other side, oh, it's so heavy. You have another one, and I think on the back. Let me see. Can I show you the back? Without tearing up my picture. And there's a symbol, and it looks like an Adinker symbol too. But just the magnificence of this work. And imagine, they were doing this in the 800s. And I don't even have, my piece is not even that exquisite, but I have two, one for the man and one for the woman, of the woman. But this was the artwork. And it's important for our children to see this work too, because they're thinking a lot of times, oh, yeah, we made we painted something, oh yeah, we did some clay, oh yeah, we did this. But these were forged and mold it created molds, and the exactness of these faces was amazing. And of course, that's the reason why when the British came to Benin in 1897, they were like and burned down the whole city. And these bronzes this is an example of the bronze that they stole, like 900 of them or more from the from Benin, and put them in their museums, and sold them all over the world. But they refused to accept the exceptionality of African work, and African intelligence, and African ingenuity. And so let me destroy it. And by the way, I'm going to call you stupid and uncivilized, but I'm going to take your exceptional work, because I haven't seen anything like it. And that's pretty much what's happening. And unfortunately, some of these Benin statues are being returned. And by the way, I bought this from a Nigerian. I did not buy this off the market. I bought this from somebody who was legitimate. And so now the next artist I wanted to talk about, let's see, and so we started with Benin. We started with blacksmithing, and then we took the parents and the other folks on a journey to see who is it, Meadowlark Fuller. Okay, and so we're going to come to the United States, and I don't know how many people are familiar with Meadowlark Fuller. So she was born in 1877, to a well-off African American family. She was the youngest child in her family, and she attended the Academy Colorosi, the University of the Arts, and in Pennsylvania. So she's from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And while in Paris, so she went to Paris to work. I mean, to when she was 22, to learn more about the arts. And as you can see, she was pretty privileged at this time. So that would have been in the 1890s, 18 almost 1900 when she went there. Um, Oh, another fun fact. Her mother was from Portsmouth, Virginia. Her grandmother was from Portsmouth, Virginia. And she was a freedman who married this white British guy. And that was a whole thing because I think he was rejected by his whole family and, dishonored. But he married this woman and had children with her. But he was from Portsmouth, Virginia. And the reason why that was significant to me is because my mom's family's from Portsmouth, Virginia. But anyway, so she went to school in France and oh, I don't think this is. Oh, this is not the best picture of that I could have gotten of her. But she's the one that made this beautiful sculpture. Again, another person who was doing sculptures, and while she was in Paris, and so or when she came back. I don't know. I can't remember when she wrote it. But what's interesting about her is that she went to France, and I was born in France, and but was not allowed. She when she left, she thought she was going to be at a house with the other American girls, and when they saw her, they're like, no, 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 no. So they made it very uncomfortable for her. She had to move from place to place to place to find somewhere to live. But she didn't let it stop her. She said, you know what, I'm going to continue to do this work. And thankfully, because she did not give up, did not go back home, she decided to stay. And she became a prominently known artist um, in France. And the very house that rejected her, the very house for American girls that was an artistic, for a haven for these young women, her own work was actually presented there. So she got her comeback. And she came back. She was commissioned by the United States government in 1907 to create 13 dioramas of the history of Black Americans. And she did, and this was done in Norfolk, Virginia, which is down the street from my family's house, family's community in Portsmouth. And she had to create 130 plaster figurines that of African American life from enslavement up until 1907. And what was interesting is that they said, instead of following the same presentation as these former artists, where white artists were always making Africans look like they were, weak and in this conciliatory position, she gave them their humanity. Her figurines express intelligence, humanity, dignity of Black Americans. And so that was Meta Ward Fuller. But then we also presented Lois Mailou Jones. Now, Lois Mailou Jones is one of my favorite people. There she is. She's an elder too. So Mama Jones attended Boston School of Arts. She was born in 1905. So she was 2 years old when Meta Ward Fuller was making those presentations in Norfolk. Now, what's interesting about her is that she was born in Boston, of course, and she attended the Boston School of Fine Arts and graduated from there. And her first job was as a textile designer in New York. Later, she came to Palmer Memorial Institute, which is located between Burlington, North Carolina, here in North Carolina, and Greensboro. And she created the art department there. And she also coached basketball and played the church piano. And so she was just an amazing talent. She did folk dancing with these people. And then later on, she was asked to join Howard University staff, and joined the art department there. But she also traveled to Paris, and when she went to Paris, this is when some of you may have seen this one before, Les Fetishes. This is one of her art pieces that she did in 1938, I believe. And what happened is when she went to France, she felt like that was the first time. Now, by the time she got to France, it was 1938. So some of the energy had changed, and African Americans were more embraced. But this was where her influence in creating more of an African worldview. And you see the same thing with Meta Ward Fuller. They were always calling back to Africa. They were always being influenced by what they saw on the continent or experienced on the continent, even when these, at the height of this disparaging attitude towards Africans and everything, these people were creating and elevating the African spirit. And so her African influence in art was began in Paris, if you can imagine. She was also influenced by her husband, who was a Haitian designer, and his name was, I don't want to mess it up, Louis Vergnard Pierre Noel. And so when she would go to Haiti, she would say, "Oh my goodness, it's such a beautiful island. You're seeing all these bold contrasts and these bright colors." And so she began to incorporate that into her art. And she became the cultural ambassador to Africa by the United States Information Agency. So that's how, I think that was in 1970 or something like that. And so I did want to also talk about this next guy, Aaron Davis. Now, Aaron Davis is considered the father of, okay, where is he? He's the father of African art. They gave him several titles. And so he was born in 1899. And let's see, do I have his art? I think I do have his art. This is his art. Yeah. So if you've seen any art like this is God's Trombones. Um, who was it? His name is James Weldon Johnson asked him to be to illustrate his book of poetry, of religious poetry, God's Trombones. And so that's what Aaron Douglas was. But they call him the father of African art because he was the one that also ushered in this reflection, or this reconnection with Africa, uh, elevating it, finding the beauty of it, and presenting it in the art. And they believe, it is said, that he also had quite a bit of inspiration for the civil rights movement, because a lot of his pictures, like you can see, this one is showing, labor of African Americans. This is showing like the jazz, the joy, the resilience, and this too, how the hard work that we invested in this country, and also just the joy of dancing and the joy of blackness. And so it was considered very inspirational. Social activism is another category he was placed in. And so, you know, and there's Aaron Douglas. And then also I wanted to talk about the young man that helped, the elder who helped Meta Ward Fuller when she was in France. That was, what's his name? Oh goodness, I forgot. Henry Asawa Ward. No, Tanner. So this was an artist, and he was living in France at the same time that Meta Ward was over there, and he also helped her a lot, make sure she was able to navigate this racism in France. And so then we made sure we went to the Caribbean. Well, Caribbean, Guyana is not really, that's South America, the tip of South America. But one of my students introduced Aubrey Douglas. No, where is he? Yeah, Aubrey Williams. Aubrey Williams. And so this artist, I was very surprised to see him. I didn't know about him, but he was one of the subjects that we had for this particular thing. So he's from Guyana, which is the northern part of South America. And they said that he demonstrated a talent for art when he was 3 years old. And by the time he was 12, he was working for the working people's art class. He was enrolled in that class with older people, the youngest person in there. But when he went to school and became an agronomist, and an agronomist is a person who works with the soil, makes sure it does manages crops and those sort of things. So he had to work among the Warao people, and when he got with them, that's when his interest peaked in the Olmec civilization and the Mayan civilization, and his art became an expression of those two. And so I want to show you a picture of the Olmec. Okay, and everybody said knows that these are black people, right? You know what I'm saying? Okay. And then now this is a picture of the Mayan art. And so I was like, yeah, that look Native American. And when you look at the Olmec head, you see African. And so I'm not gonna say anything else about that. Y'all can figure that out. What am I saying? Anyway, so he was fascinated. And so one of his actual paintings, oh no, do I not have his painting up here? Oh wow, so his painting must not have, I may not have gotten it. I thought I had it in my group of pictures. But anyway, but his art was merged, blended those two areas of art. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Aubrey, delete. Aubrey Williams. There he is, Aubrey Williams. And which one was it that I had picked for this particular thing? I think it was. This is a sample of his art. It's very colorful. And so he's merging all of those images into one piece, and that's his gallery. And he lives in Europe. He moved to England, so that was his thing. But there was another one that I really liked that showed both the Olmec and the with the this is it. I think this is the one. Okay, it's taking a moment to come up. But in the meantime, what I want to do is also share what. Okay, I can just show it this way. So this one right here on the edge. So you've got the Mayan and the Olmec collaboration, and that's what it's called, Olmec Maya. So I was like, okay. So it's always interesting to see what is out there, and how people were merging these two cultures. And so then we went to Harriet Powers. Now, the reason why I liked Harriet Powers so much is because she was born in 1837 in Clark County, Georgia. And she was a quilter. And when you go to the Hayti, there's always a display of quilts. And I love quilts. And so what's interesting about her, this is a self-portrait. Imagine this is 1837 and she made a portrait of herself sewing. And this is another quilt that she created. And her quilts were like patchwork storybook kind of presentations, where she would, like she had a lot of astrological things going on. You got the sun, the stars. She had a lot of religious, biblical stories. There was a lot of folklore attached. And I'm trying to think that we have another one for her. And one of the things that was noted about hers, this is from Benin. So people were recently looked at her work and said, wait a minute, her work is similar to to what the people of Benin were doing. This is Dahomey. And so she's taking pieces, making her own appliques, and I make quilts, and I create my own appliques too. So I was very intrigued by her. But this is another one of her quilts. And unfortunately, there are only like two quilts of hers that are still exist. But yes, but that's Harriet Powers. And then the next group of artists I wanted to talk about were two African young men. Abdullah, let me just make sure I went through everybody. Yeah. All right. So Abdullah Laye Jarasubo of Ivory Coast, and the other guy was, oh wait, El Anatui. Yeah, El Anatui. So here are pictures of these guys. So I brought it right back to Africa. We went through the Caribbean. We went through just a little bit of Africa. We saw African Americans. And so we're going to end it right back with the continent. And so these young men, this is uh, Abdoulaye Diarra Suba of Ivory Coast. Now, what's interesting about this young man, he was born in 1983 in Abidjan, and he lived in the village, and he was like, I really want to be an artist. So he moved to Abidjan and enrolled and was accepted into an art school in uh, at the age of 15. Unfortunately, a war broke out between presidential elections. You know, people were accused of fraudulently voting and all kinds of insanity. And it was like a little civil war. He said that he would hide in the basement. He did. Many people ran away and left the city, but this young man said, "I'm staying and I'm not leaving." And he said that it was nothing to hear bullets whizzing through his building while he was in the midst of his work. And so his work is very abstract, um, very interesting, but it is a portrayal of African teenagers who were having to live on the streets and were homeless, displaced, had lost their family members, and a lot of what we see that's happening in Gaza and Congo, children just abandoned, and not necessarily on purpose, but because of a war. But today he is, his work has been displayed in Boston, in the United States, New York, and in Europe. But now he has returned back to Abidjan. And so the final, Ivory Coast. So the final young man or old elder that I was going to talk about is El Anatsui, and he is from Ghana. Al, where are you, Al? There you go, Al Anatsui. And so what he does, you can see there's a beautiful work behind him. All of this is made from recycled goods. He um, was a victim of he's a Ghanaian sculptor who uses recycled materials to create his art. The materials are inspirational because they symbolize the restoration and transformation of what's happening in Africa, uh, um, in uh, in how it is rejecting and pulling off the foolishness of pre-colonialism, um, and capitalism, legacy of foolishness. And one of the things that his art is supposed, because he's using recycled goods, is a nod to the waste. It's not a nod to it. It's a critique, I guess you would say, of the West and how the West is wasteful, how capitalism is destructive, how it destroys ecosystems and the environment, and it destroys cultures. And so he's taking these items and is repurposing them. And so here's an example of one of the things. And they said now these things that he creates are large scale, so they are huge. Let's see, there I have another one. Huge artifacts, and they're all from things that he found and change and transform them into new pieces. So if you were to see this actual thing, it's like 20-30 feet long, um, and very tall, but it's malleable, so he can mesh it down, break it down, and then repurpose it. And it's copper wire, all those kind of things that he uses to keep it, hold it together. But art is such an important aspect to me. It develops, it causes children to use all sides of all the parts of their brain, stimulates them, stimulates their creativity, and makes them innovative, which is what our people are. And so art is the beginning to me of all things. And it is in all things. Artists are the ones that are designing every single thing that we have, even the paper we write on, the pens that we use. And so my students had the opportunity to present this information from the ages of 14 all the way to the age 4. And I just want to share that with you. And thank you so much for listening. Ashe, ashe.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I walk into the sound of drums.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I know my mother.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I can play the drums.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I can work with my hands.
I'm a St. Cia student.